sure you get it.
Welcome back to the coverage of YCS London. My name is Oliver Gurman and I'm the host for the weekend, and I'm joined by Matt Bell from the Konami offices.
Hey everyone, how are you getting on this afternoon?
If you've just tuned in, I want to congratulate you on your choice, because you've picked the hottest channel on Twitch for the weekend. We got all the action from some of the veterans of the game, some players that are new and want to make a name for themselves, to, well, showcase at the largest YCS of the year, if Milan doesn't break that record.
Or Sydney.
Or Sydney. What they brought to the table. So the big story heading into this weekend was the Shaddoll deck being very dominant in Madrid, with well, dismantling the opposition and going up in relative numbers from every top cut to every top cut.
Yeah, it's a deck that's been doing extremely well. We've seen it this weekend. Every time we put up a deck that's considered a rogue strategy against the Shaddoll deck, we've seen the Shaddoll deck coming out on top.
Yeah.
Some of these rogue decks misfiring or just generally not being that prepared.
Yes.
For the matchup, and the Shaddoll deck leaves no room for somebody who's not prepared for how to deal with it.
Absolutely, yes. However, some decks that did do well from the not so well represented decks was Burning Abyss, the second most popular deck of the weekend, and it has still catapulted one player into the top 8, who is Oliver Lukenda. But he's not just playing Burning Abyss.
It's the 60-card Burning Abyss Shaddoll Artifact deck.
Yeah, the 60-card special. Oliver Lukenda, no fear whatsoever of ever drawing a bad hand.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm just going to play everything.
Yep.
It all works.
And it seems like it's working out well for him so far. He now goes up against one of the Shaddoll decks, is still in competition. 40-card build by Sasha Fabian.
Yeah, Sasha's playing more of a chaos kind of build. He's playing the White Dragon Wyvern Buster, Black Dragon Collar Serpent, Eclipse Wyvern, Dark Arm Dragon. There's no artifact cards in this deck, so he's actually gone for the chaos route.
And this is the first time we see that deck in action this weekend. So while it might look similar, because you have a lot of Shaddoll cards, of course, there are quite some differences here. It plays a little bit differently.
Yeah, I mean, there's different strategies for depending on how you're doing it, and you get some favorable matchups that maybe not so favorable.
Yep.
This deck would be really interesting to see how he gets going. He's got the Free Mathematician, One Armageddon Knight, which we've seen across both variations of this deck. Spell lineup is pretty much standard, and the trap lineup is standard. There's nothing really out of the ordinary here, except instead of artifacts, he's playing light and black dragons.
Right. Oliver Lukenda, on the other hand, 60 cards. There is quite a few things that are unique about this deck.
Yeah, I mean, things that I really love are like cards like the beginning of the end, because if you resolve them, you're in a very, very good position to win the game.
Yep.
And when you're playing a deck of 60 cards,
it doesn't hurt you.
No, you're going to have more monsters to fuel that. And because you're going to be getting to the later stages of the game anyway, with a deck this big, it's always got a lot of answers. It doesn't have to take answers away from itself to keep it down to 40 cards. It can play the best, it can play the strategy it wants to, it can play the disruption it needs to, and you get this monster thing, and then things like beginning of the end, draw 3 cards.
So powerful. Well, just imagine you're a deck out player and you're going up against Oliver Lukenda, and he just puts that pile on the table and you're like, are you kidding me?
Challenge accepted. It's like immediately, Needleworm, he's ready.
Yeah, let's see if we can go there. All right, let's take you over to the table where both of these players are already sitting down. We got Oliver Lukenda on the left-hand side, Sascha Fabian on the right-hand side. Both of these guys, as you can probably tell by the names, are Germans. So this is an all-German affair. Yes, we're taking you over there right now. So here we go. On the right-hand side of the screen, we do have all the cards that these guys are holding in their hands and are playing on the field. Thanks to the help of our dedicated judges, who you can see standing right behind them and typing furiously on their iPads. So we start with the hand of Oliver Lukenda. How is that looking?
Loading in. That's quite incredible. He's got an all-monster hand there. The 2 Shaddoll dragons as well, which I'm pretty sure he'd have preferred to perhaps not draw. It'll be interesting to see how he goes with this. I mean, as long as he doesn't control any spells and traps, he gets the special summons from the... he can use the special summon effect from the Burning Abyss. So he can actually start setting up a field, even though he's got an all-monster hand.
Let's take a look at the other hand of Sascha Fabian. He's got a Super Polymerization, Shaddoll Hedgehog, 2 copies of that, Shaddoll Falco, and Vanity's Emptiness.
I think that's a pretty stable hand to be going into this with. Shaddoll Hedgehog able to get you a Shaddoll monster from your deck if he uses it for that super polymerization, or he can flip it, get Shaddoll Fusion against anything his opponent's doing.
Yep.
So Oliver is going to have to do a few things to get his deck going. I feel like Sasha's just ready to play already. Fortunately, Oliver gets the first turn.
Yep, so he simply special summons both Seer and Scar because he doesn't have any spell and trap cards, and then he can attempt, well, in this case also succeed, in special summoning Dante, Traveler of the Burning Abyss.
Yep, and we're going to see Shaddoll Falco being sent to the graveyard, along with Trap Stun.
And an Effect Veiler.
Yes.
Interesting. So it hit one target, one of the many targets, one of the effects that trigger when the card is sent to the graveyard. This is also something to keep in mind. He doesn't mind having 60 cards. He can always, we've seen this earlier, where a Dante player was simply activating it for just one card because he was afraid he would be running out of targets.
Yeah, Oliver's not going to be worrying about that. He's going to be more than happy to just take the maximum on everything. So now he's using another special summon effect using Seer's special summon effect so he can get his second Dante. And we're likely to be seeing 3 more cards being sent away.
Yeah, quite aggressive opening here. I mean, that's an impressive field. I mean, he only's got 2 copies of Shaddoll Dragon up in his hand now. But if he hits some more graveyard effects, he certainly won't mind that.
Yeah, I don't think he can, because he can't enter his battle phase. He can't have a main phase 2 on his first turn, so he can't turn that into a downward magician.
Right, which is probably what the judges just pointed out, or his opponent pointed out, in fact.
Yeah,
and
it's like, okay, dude, this isn't how it works.
Exactly.
How would you say that in German?
So geht's nicht.
So geht's nicht. No good.
Right, so Sasha Fabian drawing into Mathematician, a card that opens him up for quite a few possibilities. A card that we've also seen heavy play this weekend, in fact.
Yeah, Mathematician has been showing itself as a very valuable card across multiple archetypes since its release in Dragons of Legend. I was shocked when Mathematician first came out and people weren't just scooping it up. It's like, this card's going to be good as long as monsters are played. Like, get yourself a play set of Mathematician. Even if it's not good in one format, there'll be another format where it's amazing.
Yep. So some of these cards are now being added to his field or not. He's having some second thoughts here.
It's a Shaddoll Hedgehog going to be going face down for Sasha.
And he's considering setting Vanity's Emptiness, of course, and the super polymerization.
Yeah, he's considering, probably most likely he's considering the, I realize how those 2 words don't go so well together. He's most likely considering the best way to maximize the disruption with super polymerization here. Oliver.
So he does set both of them?
Yep, he's got the Vanity's Emptiness, the super polymerization, and a Shaddoll Hedgehog. How does Oliver do this? He's got quite a few of his Burning Abyss monsters already online here.
He did draw a tour guide from the Underworld, but first things first, he goes for Dante.
Yep, and sends away some more cards.
But no hits this time.
He'll get to use his Seer to bring back Graph.
Ah, okay. So he does have some action going. And Sasha looking at his graveyard, at his face-down cards, and he of course has a Vanity's Emptiness to possibly stop that from happening, but I don't think that's the right time to flip it, is it?
No, if he uses that, I mean, you've got to consider that Oliver's getting that effect for free, and if he flips up Vanity's Emptiness, yes, it stops his opponent's special summon the Graph, but Oliver hasn't lost anything to that Vanity's Emptiness. I mean, he'd still have 2 2500 attack monsters to swing with this turn. It's just, okay, there's a Blacklisted Soldier being sent. It's just, it wouldn't be good for him to use Vanity's Emptiness.
Yep. So the biggest threat in Oliver's deck has just been sent to the graveyard. That is kind of bad news, but at the same time, he's still continuing to trigger all of those graveyard effects.
Here's the advantage. His deck is so big, it doesn't matter if he sends some of his big threats away, because he can just put more in, because he's just maximizing the room. It's since his deck existed, I think very many of the general philosophies for Yu-Gi-Oh! And deck building has changed in actual fact, or can at least be interpreted in a different way. Because a long time ago, if you told somebody you were going to play more than 40 cards, they'd scream at you. In fact, it got to the point where people wanted to play what they thought was 37 cards with upstart goblins. And that was very, very recently. And now we've gone on the opposite end of the spectrum where people are maxing out.
There was a time when you would be playing more than 40, just 40 cards. People would be telling you, hey, you have to work on your deck, man. There's like no chance that this is the best possible build. And now it seems to be like, in some cases, the accepted best possible build.
Yeah, I mean, it's proven successful before, and Oliver has come all the way to the top 8 piloting this deck. We've seen 54 card or 52 card Mermail deck before. So it's very interesting philosophy to maximize on your answers and problems for your opponent, as opposed to restricting yourself down to, I want to play my power cards. I'm depending on power cards to win this.
Right. So Oliver's still considering his play here, isn't he? I mean, the Vanity's Emptiness was flipped in the meantime, but it's not going to do much, because if Sasha's monster, Shaddoll Hedgehog, falls victim to an attack, which will happen in just a second.
And Oliver reads the Hedgehog, or he reads a monster he can destroy with Graf. Graf only has 1,000 attack. If it would attack, he wasn't going to be attacking Shaddoll Falcon, which has 1,400 defense, because Sasha would have no targets, unless he flipped up a Sinister Shadow Games, but even then he'd get the flip effect. So Sasha actually, Oliver actually gambling on the defense of the opponent's monster, so he can make sure he can maximize damage. Those 2 Dantes, that's 5,000 damage right there coming in.
Yeah, so that Traveler is not that tired yet of traveling. He seems to be still packing a punch even after all that going through the 7 stages of, well,
it's
the Abyss.
It's, yeah, 9 circles of the Abyss, I think, go in the original poem, but I don't read Italian. So.
I heard the Russian translation is really good.
Is this one of those?
No, it's considered one of the best translations in the world, and especially in Russian.
No, I'd say I'd check that out, but I wouldn't understand it because it's in Russian to appreciate it.
All right, so Oliver not quite done here. He tribute sets a Shaddoll Dragon. Yes, that is
it'd be Shaddoll Beast, right?
According to the app, it's a Shaddoll Dragon. That must be a mistake.
Or he's set the Shaddoll Dragon and the Graf has destroyed itself.
Yeah, there we go. Oops.
So there you go. I can see how that could be misleading to Sasha if the communication wasn't there.
Yeah. So we have seen that before, where people want to deny the opponent the free Shaddoll Fusion, although that is not an opportunity, and then not an option here with 2 Dantes on the field, where they, like, on purpose get rid of the monster that was summoned from the extra deck. And Oliver is boarding into Water Bottle. That is looking pretty good for him. He comes prepared to that one.
He hasn't gone up to Downward Magician yet on either of his Xyz monsters. He knows his opponent, he knows Sasha's going to have the Shaddoll Fusion, and he knows he's going to almost windmill slam that Shaddoll Fusion down into a field where there's no spells or trap cards.
Yeah, that's interesting choice here.
And we're going to see Eclipse Wyvern going out, which is going to trigger in just a moment, and Shaddoll Beast. So the Shaddoll Fusion is going to pay for itself immediately. The Eclipse Wyvern is going to set up a play later on, and we're going to see the very powerful Shaddoll Construct coming down.
There we go. So your mind-reading techniques are also pretty strong today?
I didn't read that one. I was actually just talking as he was going through the plays. Like, I had a rough idea of what was going to happen, but... There we go. So now the Construct is triggering. Perhaps we'll see Squamata. Yep, and then another monster after all of these other effects is resolved. Remember, he won't do the Squamata before he's finished resolving the chain, because there is a beast in there, so it is relevant because he would be drawing an additional card. And Eclipse Wyvern, of course.
All right. So the Construct can pick apart the Dantes one by one, but that's not good enough, is it?
No. When Dante is sent to the graveyard, he returns 1 Burning Abyss card back to its owner's hand. So Oliver certainly has a lot of cards available to him, even if this when this Construct attack connects. And then there's a face-down Shaddoll Dragon, which can return the Construct to Sasha's hand, which will deny him the activation of the Construct to get back the Shaddoll Fusion. But I do see that Sasha's got a solemn warning in his hand, which he could use against the dragon if that comes up. We'll see how the back and forth goes.
Right, so here you can see the cards in Sasha's hand. Let's take a look at Oliver's hand. He's got the Shaddoll Dragon, Tour Guide, and Curry Bandit. So he has a lot more ways to get something going later on.
Yep, he can. He's not in an immediate rush, in immediate danger. Sasha taking out all his life points. Interesting decision that Sasha chose to attack the Dante with no material on it because he wants to deny the other Burning Abyss effect. Well, he doesn't want to get Dante and the other Burning Abyss effect going off, so he went for the no material Dante. Flip side to that is Dante can now activate its effect and gain 500 for each card sent to the graveyard. So this Dante can go up to 2,500 attacks. So the temporary delay that Sasha's made, I don't know. I believe that's one that you guys could question at home on which Dante should have been attacked.
Yeah, the air is getting really, really thin for Sasha here. He's running out of life points and fast.
Yeah, that was a huge charge in from two Dantes in the early stages. Oh, Sasha's just asking, hey, which card did you add back with Dante? And it's being revealed as Seer.
Yep, so there we go. This is Oliver's hand. After he drew for his turn, he now has a Shaddoll Fusion, and he summoned the Tour Guide from the Underworld.
I actually think that Oliver is testing the water for breakthrough skill, because he's got the Shaddoll Dragon face down. He's testing for the response with the Tour Guide before he flips the Dragon up, which will then take out the Construct. Because if Sasha flips up the Solemn Warning, he goes down to 1,000 life points, takes out the Tour Guide, then Dragon can be flipped and just push away the Construct.
Yeah, so very tough decision for Sasha here, who has two face-down cards, Super Monomerization and the Solemn Warning. And, well, one more face-down card, but that's a set Shadow Falco. And he lets the Tour Guide resolve.
The Super Polymerization and the Solemn Warning are going to be pretty key here, because after the complicated chain is going to happen, the Super Polymerization will be the trump card, because the players cannot respond to, or your opponent cannot respond to a Super Polymerization.
So a Curry Bandit being searched.
That doesn't happen very often, because you're going to use Curry Bandit if it was normal summon. So presumably there are no other Burning Abyss monsters left.
Did he run through his deck that fast?
I don't think he's gone through all of them, but
yeah, I thought he had like at least one more target. So Curry Bandit, a very important card. If you have been playing during the Dragon Ruler metagame, you are very well familiar with that card.
And we're going to see Ghostwreck Alucard coming down. Ghostwreck Alucard is going to be able to harass the spell and traps of Sasha, forcing the activation of... Oh, he's going for the Falco.
So I think he's going to attack for game here. He doesn't fear the face-down spell and trap cards that Sasha has. There is a good chance, a certain chance, that Oliver has already played against Sasha, or one of his friends has been playing against Sasha throughout the course of this tournament. So he's aware that there's no Artifact Sanctum that would be possibly stopping him from attacking for game here.
Yeah, I believe that's true. I mean, the Super Polymerization is going to be able to trump, yep, and Shaddoll Falco is going to trigger. The Super Polymerization is going to be what sees Sasha through into the next turn. Okay, Shaddoll Fusion being played by Oliver. This must be it. Yeah, there's the Solemn Warning going down to 1,000 life points. This must be the most confusing thing in the world to see how Oliver's deck is transitioning from, hey, here's all my aggressive plays with Dante, now I'm going to start playing Shaddoll Fusion, which would have been a free fusion as well, because his opponent controls an extra deck monster. It's like a free course. It's actually a free course mill that we've got here.
Yep.
And yep, 3 cards being sent to the graveyard, and we're going to see the dragon, the Super Polymerization being activated.
And Sasha now has to discard a card. He goes with the Hedgehog. And he still holds onto a Mathematician and a Shaddoll Squamata. And he picks Dante.
That's interesting, because Dante would have been the only monster able to take over the Winder, attack over a Winder. So I guess
he's going to go for that.
No, because he's just sent. If he sends Dante, that's a light monster. He has to send a Shaddoll monster, so he's going to be only able to make construct.
Oh, so he simply relies on a big hitter to well, hold his opponent back here with just 1,000 life points remaining.
Yeah, he has. He gets a bunch of triggers as well while this is going on. But Oliver has time. He's not an immediate threat of losing, and his graveyard already looks pretty big. I mean, any cards like copies of Beginning of the End will be live at this stage.
Yeah. The interesting thing is he's now at like 40 cards in his deck. He's like, okay, you're already halfway done. I'm just getting started.
Yeah. So all right, now we've done all that. Let's play.
All right. So a Shaddoll Fusion returning to Sasha's hand. This is his.
This is really good for Sasha because that Ghost Trick Alucard is still in play, meaning that there's still an Xyz monster for another free fusion. We're going to see, I believe that's a construct effect is resolving, which is sending a beast, and Sasha is drawing a card.
Right. There you go. This is hand, I think, before the draw. He's still missing one more. Yeah.
I wonder if Oliver will consider attacking his Ghost Trick Alucard into the construct to deny his opponent a free fusion next turn.
Didn't he use the effect of Ghost Trick Alucard on the Falco?
He did, so the Falco will not activate its flip effect.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and he charges the Ghost Trick in because he knows his opponent has a Shaddoll fusion from the result of the super polymerization. So this way his opponent doesn't get the doesn't get a free fusion, so if he wants to fuse, he's going to have to commit cards in his hand, which is a White Dragon Wyver Buster and a Squamato at the moment. He could use his on-field construct as well, but it seems unlikely he'd give up a 2800 attack monster when he doesn't really need to.
That would be something. Right, so here we have Oliver's hand, who is just going over his... He's running through his deck at the moment.
Yeah, he's got one Dante left in his extra deck, I believe. I worry
he's just playing 2 copies.
Oh, he's only playing, so he's out of Dante's here. I wonder how he's going to play this then, because if he plays a Curry Bandit, he's essentially passing a turn of what could be against his opponent's. His opponent could represent 5,600 points of damage here if he just plays a fusion into another construct. Oh, okay, but he's getting his end phase Scarm effect, so Oliver is going to be looking to make some noise next turn.
Well, and he's already been making quite a bit of noise with Sasha falling down to just 1,000 life points. He has 5 cards in hand he just drew for his turn. That card will come up in just a second. There you go. It's Book of Moon, one of the oldies but goldies. Very simple effect, but it's so effective.
Yeah, very, very good, especially if wiretaps are seeing a lot of play in a format on Trap Stun. Book of Moon can play through those. But you could do some weird things with it, like turn your extra deck monster face down when they play Shaddoll Fusion, and it just creates really awkward situations where your opponent then they can't fuse from their deck.
Yeah. Yeah, from the hand. Hand and field.
Yeah, they have to use the hand and field.
Yep.
And
so you might effectively fizzle that card.
yeah, it has happened. I believe we saw that in Madrid as well. The very same play being used, and I can't remember which player it was, and just revealing his hand as, oh, look, I got that.
Yeah. All right, so there we go. He now summoned the White Dragon Wyver Buster. This is the alternative to not running the artifact engine, or like some players just running everything. That's also an option, of course. And together with Black Dragon Collapse Serpent, those provide you with a stream of cards as well.
Yep, when one's sent to the graveyard, it searches for the opposite one, and then the opposite one can just banish the first one. So you get this night and day cycle. I wonder if Sasha's actually trying to run the math to see if he can win this turn. I don't believe he can. No. Okay, so he fuses both his on-field cards to make another construct.
And the construct that lands in his graveyard, as well as the White Dragon Wyver Buster, both of them are triggering. So he gets the surge again.
Yep.
Right, in case you're wondering what Oliver is holding on to with so many cards in hand, here we go again.
Hold on. He fused a construct with a White Dragon Wyver Buster. The Shaddoll can only be the Shaddoll part. This is the same situation we had on top where he can't use that as a material for a construct.
Ah, yes.
Because the Shaddoll can either be the light part or the Shaddoll part.
Right, so now the judges will have to rewind the game, or that's possibly what they're going to do.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure out, because the Shaddoll construct sent a card to the graveyard. Yeah, it's just figuring out the order. This is a little bit of a mess, but yeah. It should be repairable. The judges have been watching everything.
Yep. So here we go. The search for the White Dragon Collapse Serpent, the Black Dragon Collapse Serpent, is being returned to the deck. Nothing else happens, so the deck is still in random order, so no harm done here.
Yeah, no cards have been drawn and added to Sasha's hand that wouldn't know. And fortunately, we have the app, so we'd be able to see exactly what's happened in order to repair it. So it actually becomes easier to repair.
Yeah. And the other thing is, does he get his fusion back? I don't think he will.
We'll see how the judge decides on this. Or... yeah, okay, that's a graveyard. It looked like he... okay. Okay, it looks like they've repaired it and he's continuing.
All right. So now Sasha has the Black Dragon Collapse Serpent on the field. He's got the construct. The set card is a Shaddoll Falco, if the app is to be believed.
Yeah, I believe we saw Falco going face down just a second ago.
And he returned the White Dragon. Oh, no, no.
Yeah, we're seeing a Dagusto Emerald, which is going to be able to shuffle 3 cards back into the deck. And Sasha will be able to draw a card. It's very unlikely he'll be trying to summon a normal monster from his graveyard since he doesn't have any.
There you go. Dagusto Emerald. That's the first time we've seen this card this weekend.
Yeah, we talked about it briefly during the Satellar Night matches, as it's a great card for shuffling back the Altairs, so you can keep the engine going, especially if you have the 2 Dagustos. I think you can just keep shuffling the Dagustos back. I don't know if there's room for it, but it's like you can just ensure that you never run out of steam.
Yep. So, and Sasha drawing, is that a Black Luster Soldier that he just drew into? Yes.
Yes, it is. Good eye.
Sneak eyes.
Big game.
Wow, he does have a Dark Arm Dragon that he can special summon now with exactly 3 Dark Monsters in his graveyard. And the... wow. Out of nowhere. And the Black Luster Soldier Envoy at the beginning following suit right away. And that suddenly puts so much damage on the table. What a comeback from Sasha. Fabian, look at that. Just 1,000 life, we're puzzling. What is he going to do next?
That was so unbelievably complicated as well. I mean, to have the 3 darks, to line it up so you have the 3 darks, then have the Black Luster Soldier, because he was shifting things around, like getting the Falcon back and doing stuff, even after that big confusing misplay. And then how he managed to figure that out, that's really great. Wow.
Well, that was quite something. Somebody should give him a pat on the back for that. We have the top 8 matches for you guys, so let's take a look at what else is going on right at this moment. The guys a little bit grayed out on the right hand and left hand side respectively are the guys that didn't make it to the top 8. So Marcelo Barberi still in, going up against Luke Quincy, the last Telenite player in the top 8. Then we have Paolo Pacciana, who switched gears, because last time he was running Burning Abyss and Shaddoll. This time he just runs a 40-card Shaddoll deck. And Ruben Lima from Spain, who we had earlier on the stream, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. And I think he was running a Burning Abyss.
Yeah, I think from the top 8 again, looking at this list of people that we featured, you have 1, 2... oh, you had 1 Quincy, not the other one. We had Marcelo yesterday as well. That's 3. So you've caught them pretty well again.
Yeah, 32 was a little bit more successful, but we're not complaining.
Yeah.
Also got Dominik Barowski, who is from Austria, indicated by that flag. So even though Patrick Rieder is out, there's still hope for your Austrian fans out there. And then last but certainly not least, Enzo Duval. And if I'm not mistaken, he already advanced to the semi-finals. That's what somebody said in the Twitch chat. All right, let's get back to the match where both players are performing the side decking. And as always, they have quite a few options here. We got Malevolent Catastrophe for Oliver Lukenda and a Stormforth of the Monarchs, both in 3 copies each. And he's got Majesty's Fiend, also 3 copies of that, together with 2 copies of Möbius the Frost Monarch.
Okay, I don't believe we're going to see Möbius the Frost Monarch coming in against the Shaddoll deck. Majesty's Fiend, probably, because it will negate all the Shaddoll effects.
Well, I mean, he has to find space for that with just 60 cards in his main deck.
How is he going to side this?
Yeah,
we don't know.
It's going to be really tough for him.
He does have... that's weird that he's playing Monarch Stormforth and did you say Majesty's Fiend in there?
Yeah. Yep.
Because in a 60-card deck, he's less likely to draw those 2 cards together. So it seems weird. Like, even if he's playing the Majesty's Fiend, it might be a little bit weird to play Monarch Stormforth. How many copies of Shaddoll Beast is he playing?
2 copies.
So he's actually only got like 5 monsters to tribute summon if he plays the Stormforth. Okay, that's interesting.
Right, so let's take a look at Sascha's side deck options, because he's got a...
Yes, side deck we've got Chain Disappearance, which could work against the Burning Abyss side of Oliver's deck. Mystical Space Typhoons, Trap Stuns, Malevolent Catastrophe, Raikou, the Lightsworn Hunter, 2 copies of the Monarch Stormforth, 2 copies of Chaos, Regeki, and Diffusion. Funny enough, all of these cards, apart from perhaps Raikou, are good against Oliver because Oliver's playing everything. So, but it's because you don't know which side of the deck that you're going to find. You could end up putting all 15 of these cards in and drawing them all at the wrong time. So Sasha's faced with this weird conundrum that all of these cards are good, but like, you know, if he puts them all in, he might like destabilize his deck. So he's going to have to prioritize. And then he could get it wrong because his opponent could draw the other side of his deck.
Well, then again, we've just seen Sascha commanding what his Destiny draw didn't fail him just now with that Black Luster Soldier from the very top of his deck and at the most opportune moment.
Yeah, Black Luster Soldier has been stealing games.
Yeah, you were like doing the maths, and so have many of our viewers, and they were also like, it's only 7,000 damage, and then suddenly that Black Luster Soldier showed up from the very top, and it changed everything. So let's see if we can do it one more time. We're back at the table now. And, well, Oliver has the chance to either go first or let Sascha go first. And it seems like he lets Sascha go first because he's the one who's counting the cards first.
Yeah, Oliver he's electing to pick up that 6th card to get started. It's always interesting to hear the thoughts of players that volunteer to go. Oh no, he chose to go first. Oliver chose to go first this game.
All right, that was a little bit confusing. So his hand after his opening is a Scar, 2 copies of Scar, a Black Luster Soldier, very good card as we've just seen. And his opening move was another Scar. That's the 3rd copy and a Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. On the other side of the spectrum, respectively, field. We do have 4 face-down cards. You can see that right now. Chain Disappearance, card from the side deck, Vanity's Emptiness, and a Breakthrough Skill. The 4th card is the Monarch's Stormforth, I think.
Another card from the side deck.
Yes. So, Sascha Fabian is also holding on to Shaddoll Falco and probably the Shaddoll Fusion, because that's the one card you don't want to lose to a blind MST.
Yeah, that makes sense. There would be like no reason to commit that to the field.
Yep. So let's check out Oliver's hand. He did draw into a Curry Bandit. No, he didn't draw yet because he first resolved the Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, resolved the Scarm effect that he discarded, and then he drew for his turn, which is a Mind Control.
Mind Control being very useful to him, especially main deck option for him because he's playing everything. He's like, oh, wow, we're going to see Chain Disappearance taking out all the Curry Bandits.
Yeah, that's a very strong answer from Sascha. Chain Disappearance, a card that in these situations, I mean, Curry Bennett is kind of crucial to Oliver's strategy.
Yeah, I mean, it gets him, it rockets him through the game, and it has, if just resolving one of those, he could trigger up to 5 of his monster effects, like from Burning Abyss and Shaddoll. And they're getting basically 5 free card activations, can just make a game completely unwinnable for Sasha. But now, Change Disappearance being able to stop that before it happens.
So there's also Vanity's Emptiness face down on Sasha's side of the field. He did not set the Monarch Storm 4th, so it seems like it was part of the cards in his hand that he played face down on the table. How did that other face down spell or trap just disappear there?
He had 3 set on his first turn.
Yeah.
He flipped the Chain Disappearance. That should leave him with 2, by my math.
Yeah. All right, so according to our app, there's a Vanity's Emptiness and a Breakthrough skill set. I think the Breakthrough skill got lost for a little second. Did it get bounced back to the deck? No.
Well, Phoenix One Wind Blast was played, but
Yeah, I think it was played, and the Breakthrough skill was landing on top of the deck, and Sasha didn't even look at the card. He just like placed it face down right away again and passed his turn. That's what happened. Just looked a little bit like, what's going on here? Why is it so happening so fast? So in the meantime, Oliver has drawn 2 cards, one of them being Breakthrough skill, which he just set on the field, and the other card is the card in his hand, the new card in his hand, the Monarch's Storm 4th. So everything is in order. It was just happening a little bit too fast for us. So there you see Sasha's field again, and both players are now holding on to a Black Luster Soldier.
which soldier will win? That's the question.
Yeah, that's the big baddie here.
Not even talking about the players here. It's just which soldier.
So there's a Shaddoll Fusion being activated by Sasha.
And Sasha throwing out his Blackluster Soldier.
All right, so much for that. This card is dead. Even if he does have something like a Call of the Haunted, he can't bring it back from the graveyard because it first needs to be special summoned properly.
Yep. It's the late game really favors Oliver. Sasha does have that really explosive Darkrom Dragon Blackluster Soldier, but the longer this game goes on, the more likely that the beginning of the ends are going to come up and be relevant. So Sasha wants to push out right now while Oliver is still in the early stages of his strategy, setting up his strategy.
Yep. The other thing is in the other top 8 matches, time has just been called. This match has been started a little bit later than the other matches for understandable reasons, because we first have to drag the players over here and get ready for our feature match. But there's not that much time remaining in the round, it seems.
No, there won't be too much time left on this.
First game took a little while.
It did. This is only game 2, so we're likely to see this being decided by end of match procedure,
Yeah,
which is unfortunate, but it does happen in tournaments.
It's something you have to be prepared for. And if you come prepared with the right cards in your side deck, you can, well, make sure that this is working out in your favor rather than your opponent's. So Oliver resolving the Scalm effect again, adding a Sir to his hand. Now he's drawing for his turn. He finds a trap card.
Artifact Sanctum.
Artifact Sanctum, yeah, there we go. And the Sir is coming down with 1,600 attack. Not doing much against a construct, now is it?
Not on his own. He's 1,200 points away from matching it, but he's just going to go ahead and attack into the face-down Shaddoll Falco.
And with no targets in Sasha's graveyard. That's one of the reasons why he said it, I guess, just to make sure that he doesn't take any more damage now, does he?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Perhaps he was considering setting up a... Well, he played the Shaddoll Fusion, and then he got the Falco back for free. And then the Falco gets destroyed. He's not particularly going to care.
Okay, yeah.
And Oliver doesn't want to make it so that Falco gets additional value. There we're going to see Vanity's Emptiness.
Yeah, that's the first time in this game, but we've seen this a lot this weekend. Vanity's Emptiness, the all-star in plenty of decks. So versatile, so useful.
Great thing here is it's actually shut down both Sanctum and Seer. Because the Sanctum would have took out the Construct, but now Construct successfully attacks over Seer. Seer will not be able to special summon from the graveyard, and the Artifact Sanctum is going to fizzle. So that's really bad for Oliver.
Yeah, that's a very huge play for Sasha again. Interestingly enough, the first game he was
He's drawn super polymerization, which is really unfortunate since that Vanity's Emptiness is still face up on the field.
Yep. So he just has to go with a conservative approach, setting one card to each zone, Scar, Malebranch of the Burning Abyss, and a super polymerization. And he desperately needs to find a way to make Sasha lose one of the cards on his field, so Vanity's Emptiness is going to get turned off for the time being.
He's got the Mono Storm 4th, so I'm sure he wouldn't mind drawing out his Majesty's Fiend, because if he plays Mono Storm 4th and tributes a El Shaddoll construct to put down his Majesty's Fiend, I'm sure he's going to be very happy with that.
Yep, so let's check his hand again. He does have the Blackluster Soldier, but no light in the graveyard. And he does have Mind Control and the Monarch Storm 4th. Now he's going through that gigantic pile of cards and finding a tour guide.
Again, another card that doesn't do what it should under the oppression of Vanity's Emptiness.
And all of this would be looking so much different if the Curie Bandit would have resolved.
Yeah, had the Curie Bandit gone off, then Oliver would have been so much further ahead. I think he's just drawn a beginning of the end.
Yes.
And again, as you said, rightly so, the Curry Bandit, if that would have gone off, we would be seeing that being activated and Oliver just torpedoing through his deck at this stage.
So we can't quite call it the beginning of the end. It's like the ending of the end for Oliver here, because he really needs something in his graveyard to get his engine going.
It's kind of like the card is taunting as he picks up and he realizes there's another card he can't play. He's like, oh, this is the beginning of the end.
He briefly checked his graveyard. Now he's setting the tour guide because he cannot perform any special summons anyway because of Vanity's Emptiness. And, well, he does have another Dark Monster in his graveyard, so that's some sort of progress, but not what he was hoping for.
He's drawn the Morale Tech, so he's got the Mono Storm 4th to be able to
tribute the construct.
Yep, which then takes out the Vanity's Emptiness.
And at the same time, he will have a light monster in the graveyard eventually. So all of this is big news for Oliver Lukenda, who suddenly gets a feet into the door here. But he gave his opponent, Sasha Fabian, quite a bit of time, who has drawn into a few more cards in the meantime. Because he didn't have to commit any more cards to the field. He had everything he needed. Yeah,
so the ball was completely in Sasha's court at that stage, and Sasha was dictating the pace of that game. He's walked it slowly, and Oliver now does have an opportunity to get in there, but Sasha is also now, he's drawn his own super polymerization.
Yes. So suddenly Sasha needs to switch gears, and he's on the defensive, or at least it looked like it. He sets a monster, which is the Shaddoll Falco, and then he follows it up with the Shaddoll Fusion, using the Falco from the field, and then Eclipse Wyvern.
And here's another construct.
Not that surprising. Well, that would be the super perfect time for Oliver to have a Vanity's Emptiness, but he didn't draw into it. Well, odds are a little bit worse when you're playing 60 cards.
Absolutely. Again, it comes down to, if you're playing 60 cards, you're playing because you want to get to a particular stage of the game where you dominate and you have access to really, really powerful cards that require you to have larger card counts, versus individual core card strength, where you're looking at things like super polymerization. You're only allowed one of. If you want to draw it more often, you do want to play smaller, shorter cards.
Yep.
Shorter cards? The cards can't be physically shorter. Smaller deck size.
Right, so here we have the super polymerization, very important card that can make quite the difference, but not right now, no, does it?
Now, both players have a super polymerization, so if Oliver flips up his super polymerization trying to be clever, Sasha could very easily then, after super polymerization is resolved, use his own to get his construct back. How many constructs?
That might be exactly what's happening here.
The question comes down to how many constructs. There's 3 constructs in Sasha's deck.
That is good news, isn't it?
It is, because is that his first one for this duel? I know last game we saw lots of them.
It's the second construct that he has, Sasha.
Okay.
So here is the super polymerization from Oliver, and well, Sasha cannot directly chain to it now, can he?
No, he'll wait till after it's resolved and consider playing his.
So it won't happen in one chain.
No, Sasha has. Oh yeah, it's Sasha's turn, so that's fine.
Yeah, it's Sasha's turn. He can activate it. Yeah. So that could be happening in just a second. Very interesting situation here. He's first losing his El Shaddoll construct. But Oliver now finally has the light in the graveyard that he needs.
Yeah, for the Blackluster Soldier.
Yeah, and Oliver is discarding the beginning of the end, because he he can't afford to wait for one more turn until that card will go live.
And even if he, yeah, he's doesn't have time. You're right.
Right, so Oliver now getting to special summon his construct, and then Sasha thinking about his options here. One very good option, super polymerization. But do you want to use it right away, or do you want to use it on your opponent's turn? There's a breakthrough skill. And
he's playing his own.
All right.
And this close to end of match procedure, damage is definitely on Sasha's mind.
Yes.
Because this is going to score 2,800 directly. He sent a Falco and a Construct, so he has sent a light, a dark, and one is a Shaddoll as well, so we won't have the same troubles we had before.
Yeah, well, what's the right choice here?
Well, he's going for Construct.
Yeah.
Well, oh yeah, he has two options, because, no, does he?
Does
no,
he?
So I think it's just Construct.
Yeah, he's looking for his third copy in his extra deck. Now, and he finds it.
I think he's actually considering his next step. He's gone a step ahead of himself, and he's considering what he's going to send from his deck to the graveyard.
Is that always the right thing to do? To like, I mean, of course, you want to think of your next step, but while you're in the middle of something, isn't it? Doesn't that mean that you're just messing it up?
No, it'd be like every time I've gone to a fast food restaurant and they serve 3 customers in between serving my food, and then it always comes out wrong. You know, that's exactly what happens, and it's incredibly frustrating. You don't want to get mad, 'cause you know the guy's just doing his job, but you're like, just one thing at a time.
Yeah.
That's what Sasha should be doing as well.
All right, so he did add a Shaddoll Beast to his hand. On the field, we see the construct. The Shaddoll Falco is no longer on the field. That's a little bit delay, a little bit of a delay here that we have with the app. And he attacks. That means just 3,700 life points remaining for Oliver.
And the dice has come down in the middle of the table, representing end of match procedure, I believe. And this game cannot end in a draw.
Yes, all of you guys who voted for a draw, you're wrong.
Yeah, in fact, the draw wasn't even an option on the poll.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
So what we've learned is how many people tried to vote for draw, how many votes were discounted?
Let's take another look. We got quite a few. No, this time, for the first time, I think everybody was voting for one of the viable options rather than making something up.
I'm impressed with you guys. Because when you see like 20% of the votes were discounted because they were incorrect, so you're like,
yeah, we've seen that, yeah.
We're being trolled, or is that really 20% of people that haven't read the ballot?
All right, so it's Oliver's turn, and he starts with a mathematician. So he can send another card to his graveyard. Funny thing is, now I think he would have had the 7 dark monsters in his graveyard to trigger the beginning of the end.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, I believe he would have, yeah, because he just sent the Squamata, then sending the I believe that's Dragon to the graveyard as well.
Yeah, but he didn't want to lose the Mind Control.
And the Blackluster Soldier.
And of course not the Blackluster Soldier. So I guess the decision was understandable. And also you don't know that you're going to draw into a Mathematician. So now his 2 cards in hand, like we said, are the Mind Control and the Blackluster Soldier. There is the Blackluster Soldier. It's not going to attack over
if it swings into that construct, that would be a terrible, terrible misplay on Oliver's part, because it's a special summoned monster.
Yeah, that almost happened to me when I played last year. My opponent had a, what's it called? The Synchro monster that destroys something.
Oh, Ally of Justice Catastor.
Yes, thank you. And I drew into Blackluster Soldier, and in the heat of the moment, I immediately special summon it, and I'm thinking about, oh, if I attack, this is going to be game. And then I'm like, just wait a second. What was the effect again? Because I'm not Alpha Engen. I apparently I have to read cards to understand them. And, well, seeing that my options were a little bit more limited than I thought, so I banished it, and that was the better move. All right. So, Sasha Fabian. These are the 3 cards he has in hand. Monarch Stormforth, Shaddoll Hedgehog, Shaddoll Beast. Interesting.
So he's got the answer straight away to the Blackluster Soldier, because Monarch Stormforth, he could just tribute it away to set the Beast. He's leading on life points. Well, he could just tribute it away, summon the Beast, and then press more damage into Oliver.
Yep.
Breakthrough skill being used, so Blackluster Soldier gets a double attack.
That is one option we didn't even think of because we don't have access to the graveyards, but a very good option for Oliver. Good thing that he indicated that he saw that. Now he gets to attack twice with Blackluster Soldier, deal some more damage with the Mathematician. And what he just said, he's ahead on life, no longer true.
4,700 straight in there, and Sasha sitting in a hot seat.
But we know that he's most dangerous when he's on low life points.
Yeah, he can play the Monostorm 4th, put the Beast on the field, then he could Shaddoll Fusion out a window if he really wanted to. I don't know if that's going to be...
Yeah, he ran out of constructs.
Yeah, that's all 3 of his constructs are gone now, right?
Yep. So Oliver Lukenda has a mind control in hand. So if he keeps one monster, if he draws into a monster, and all that Sascha Fabian has to defend himself is a monster, which is pretty likely with that hand, Oliver could then just attack for game with the monster that he summons, or that will still stay on the field. So that's a big option, something to keep in mind. So we might actually go to a third duel, which will be a lot shorter than usually because of the timeout procedure.
I believe players, I'd say affectionately call it sudden death, but I can't imagine anybody who's ever had to sit in there has been happy to go to that stage of the game.
No, I don't think so. I mean, Oliver Lukenda would be happy to go to that stage of the game because his other alternative is
losing.
Yeah,
it's going out right here.
Yeah, I take whatever you give to me as long as it's not I'm out of the tournament. So I take my chances here. Right, so Sascha Fabian is thinking a little bit longer, which is understandable because we've seen that in the first game where, well, it didn't look like there was an option for him to turn it around with a 7,000 life point difference.
Yeah, the deficit was incredible. And then it was like, hold on. The Sherlock Holmes where he just sort of figures out exactly how the sequence is going to go first.
Yep.
Play this. Opponent responds like this. Raise hand for handshake. Drop 5 guys. Win duel.
Absolutely, yes. So he starts with a Shaddoll Fusion and he has to go for Winder because he's, like we said, he ran out of constructs. Something we don't see every day, to be honest.
Yeah, quite a few players going down to 2 L-style constructs because of the drops of super polymerization. Some people felt that 3 was excessive and they could use the extra deck room for something better. Currently we're seeing success from Sasha, who decided to stick to his guns and keep all 3 Shaddoll constructs in his deck.
And, well, he did draw another card, but he knows that this is not what I need to defend myself with just 1,200 life points. And next turn are definitely going to lose the game, so why, well, waste any time? I mean, we're in timeout anyway. So he just says, okay, let's take our chances with the third game. Yeah. The thing is, the very special rule here, they are not allowed to side deck.
I believe that's correct. Yep, that's what they're checking now. They've got to play. This, I believe, this end of match procedure favors Sasha, actually, because Oliver's deck has so many cards that are dependent on getting into the late game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on what side of the deck Oliver draws out of. If he draws a Burning Abyss, I believe he's going to be a little bit better off. If he draws into his Shaddoll side, it's a little bit slower. Well, I think cards like Beginning of the End, every one of those he sees, it's just cards that he can't play. And Sasha, on the other hand, is just going to be playing his smaller deck here. He needs setup as well, so it's going to be a neck-and-neck game.
It's going to be really, really interesting. So the 5 first cards are the cards that count the most in this very special situation in the game. And, well, I for one can't wait to see this.
Yeah, you can see Sasha, while he's sitting there trying to look comfortable, you can tell he looks uncomfortable. Like, even just like his smile there and his shifting in the chair, he knows a lot is riding on this. His entrance to the top 4, which gives him a chance to get one of the prize cards, rides on 4 turns.
Yeah.
I believe that's it for, it's 4 turns, isn't it, in sudden death.
Yes. So...
or end of match procedure, it's not officially sudden death.
And Oliver Lukenda, both of these guys have been coming close before. Like, we didn't see them in the top 8 yet, but of any of the larger tournaments. But still, that's going to change in just a second. I mean, those guys are bound. Sascha Fabian, in fact, we have them in our list at YCS Brighton in 2011. So also in the UK.
That was a cold, cold event.
It's a good thing that you remember something from it.
We stayed in the Umi Hotel. I also remember that.
But yes, that is true. The legendary ocean.
Well, we tried to stay in the legendary ocean, but there was some shirtless guy waving a giant ear cleaner around screaming, and we just went, this is messed up.
He was playing plant synchro back then. How far we've come since then.
Yeah, that was actually right as the deck was going out and people were moving into the Dino Rabbit deck, because I remember the big debate was, what's the best deck? The deck that Billy Break actually won 2 YCSs with his synchro plants, and then we just started to move into the next meta, which was the Dino Rabbit decks.
Yep. Although interestingly enough, the next event after that was won by Insectus. Although, so that was a
Leipzig in Germany.
Yeah, yes, it was.
That was also very, very cold. Like, Germany needs to warm up in the winter.
I know. Every winter I'm considering moving somewhere because it's just such a...
Go to Australia, because it's like the middle of their summer. And then just come back, just jump ship.
Yeah. So as you can see, our judges, our helpful judges, are explaining the end of match procedure to these two guys again, making sure that everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, as getting into the top cut and getting into the situation is probably something very infrequent for these guys, and even though all the information they need is in the policy documents, when you're sat on that table, you'd rather just be told again, even though if you've read it.
Right, so they are not picking who's going first, which is usually the case, where after you lost the last match, you can decide who's going first, but rather there's a die roll involved to decide who's going to go first. So it's completely random. There is no way for you to know that who's going to go first, and you cannot prepare your deck in any way or something like that. Yep,
it's a luck of the draw is going to play a big part of this. Neither player's playing upstart goblins, so there's going to be no free life points given out here. There's a lot of powerful traps for Oliver.
Is anyone running something like Solemn Warning where they lose life points, activating the card?
Yeah, actually, looking over at Sasha's trap lineup, he's got Burst Reverse and Solemn Warning, both cards that cost him a significant amount of his life points to activate. So those are 2 potentially bad cards, but then...
Yeah, he doesn't want to draw them.
Even if I just cross-reference to Oliver's, he really doesn't want to draw any beginning of the end. He is not going to activate it this duel.
Yep.
Every one of those cards he draws is essentially a blank.
Right. So this is the very special sudden death situation, as some call it, like you said before. We will have the 5 cards that both of these guys are drawing in our app in just a second. And we're starting with Oliver's hand. He's got a Mathematician. That's good news, because that card can get his engine going, at least to some degree, sending something to the graveyard.
Oh, it's so tense, and all we have to go by is a Mathematician. I see, actually, on Oliver, I see a Foolish Burial also in his hand. 2 Majesty's Fiend. Oh, that Mathematician is a little bit of a liability, because it has to be played in attack mode if he wants to get the effect off.
And, well, without the Monarch Storm 4th, those Majesty's Fiend might not be live anytime soon.
Well, he might go turn 1, Foolish Burial, send Falco to the graveyard, or Graf, get a monster, tribute Majesty's Fiend, pass.
That would be quite good.
That would be a very reasonable start.
Let's look what
Oliver.
Sasha had to fight this. He's got a Shaddoll Falco, White Raven, Viger Buster, Vanity's Emptiness, Sinister Shadow Games, Monarch Storm 4th. Ooh, Monarch Storm 4th, really good. But he's missing the Tribute monster, whereas Oliver is missing the Monarch Storm 4th.
Yep, he's going to do it the old-fashioned way and actually use one of his own cards as a Tribute summon, most likely, or is he going to just pass the turn?
Yeah, those are his 2 options, the Shaddoll Falco face down on his side of the field at the moment.
I feel like him deploying... no, he decides he's not going to risk the life points here by just going out with the Majesty's Fiend, because a polymerization of some description could cause serious problems.
Yeah, you want to be really playing really conservatively in this situation. And you can see both players taking the slowest of approaches, just setting cards, especially monsters, rather than committing to an attack or something like that. So Sasha has now a Shaddoll Falco on the field, which is not live.
Okay.
But he's got a Sinister Shadow Games. Vanity's Emptiness and a Breakthrough Skill, of course. So back to Oliver, who did draw a tour guide from the Underworld.
Sasha might actually decide to respond to this. I mean, normally he might consider letting it go, but because of the very, very strict restrictions here, he's strongly considering, do I need to act immediately? Because the most important thing is the immediate present as opposed to potential future advantage in this situation.
Yes, because you might not see that future.
Okay, he does elect to go, okay, you can have your Shaddoll Falco.
All right, so here's the updated field of Oliver in just a second. There you go, with Shaddoll Squamata being added face down to his side of the field. Mathematician face down, I think I've never seen this all weekend.
Yeah, Mathematician, its strength comes from summon it, but just leaving it in attack mode and taking damage over an attack from, say, a Squamata or something would be enough to make the life points difference at the end of this, when we get around to checking that part.
Interestingly enough, Oliver Lukenda has a Majesty's Fiend, 2 copies in fact, Shaddoll Beast and Tour Guide, so he's nothing to interact with Sasha's attacks or, well, cards. So as soon as there's some sort of opening, just 100 damage that Sasha can sneak through will be enough. And, well, he's got the Monarch Stormforth, White Dragon Viper Buster.
Oh, he's going for Majesty's Fiend.
Right, so now Oliver does have something, a big play, but there's a breakthrough skill.
Yeah, the breakthrough skill is going to be so important here, because even if the Majesty's Fiend goes ahead and attacks, Sasha can chain the breakthrough, activate the breakthrough skill, target the Majesty's Fiend, and get his monster effect. He also has Sinister Shadow Games as well, which he can do some stuff with. Okay, Mathematician going up. Oliver is committing to this.
Yep. It doesn't trigger, in case you're wondering. Flip summon doesn't trigger the effect. It needs to be normal summon. There's an attack with the Mathematician, slightly risky, isn't it?
Well, he knows that the highest defense that a low-level Shaddoll monster has is 1400, so he knows, regardless of what that face-down card is, Mathematician will be able to destroy it in battle.
Right, so there's the Sinister Shadow Games.
Okay, he's going to have to chain the breakthrough skill on top.
And he does just that. Not that surprising here. So, but, well, not a big... I was about to say Sasha is losing his breakthrough skill, but not a big problem, because he can use it again on his turn, thanks to its other effect. Very, very crucial in that situation. He will definitely need that second activation, won't he? So here we go. That's his target for the Falco, and it brings it back.
Squamata, which will, he can banish the breakthrough skill from his graveyard, flick Squamata, and take out the Majesty's Fiend.
Good. I mean, it's only 4 turns, so he just wants to attack with something over the Mathematician, doesn't he?
Yep, I think he is representing game.
Yeah, the thing is, like, Oliver was gambling because he doesn't have anything. With Majesty's Fiend, Shaddoll Beast, and Tour Guide from the Underworld, he has to hope that his attack will connect. The second attack of Majesty's Fiend, after his Mathematician has taken out the sole opposition that Sasha had on his side of the field. However, thanks to the very crucial Sinister Shadow Games that allowed Sasha to send something to his graveyard. So he would have a target for Falco and as well the breakthrough skill. So both of these cards, only in that unison, only together, were able to, well, allow him to go for that move.
The judge has interjected here.
I think it's more the question, like, when was what card activated, and Sasha's just going to explain, I was building a chain here.
Yeah. Well, we know the breakthrough skill was would resolve before Sinister Shadow Games, so Majesty's Fiend is switched off at the time when...
Yeah, maybe the question is when does everything get flipped face up, but that of course happens during the resolution of the trap card, which is Sinister Shadow Games. So, well, everything happens at the resolution. And the one thing that Oliver Lukenda could have going for himself is if Sasha was flipping his Falco right after activating Sinister Shadow Games, because that would indicate that he wanted to resolve the effect already. But I don't think that was the case.
No,
I think he just flipped the trap card.
The attack has been declared by Mathematician, Sinister Shadow Games is used, and then on top of that, breakthrough skill targeting Majesty's Fiend. That's
so yeah, that's the way I understood it as well. So Sasha was, at least the way we understand it, was playing everything correctly, and he will get to resolve the effect of Shaddoll Falco. And Oliver, I mean, can you really blame the guy? You want to try everything in this situation, apart from cheating, of course, to advance to the next round. And if there's an opportunity or an option that your opponent has misplayed or messed up in some way like this...
I got the feeling the judges stepped in here, and I don't know if Oliver actually called the judge.
Did call out the judge? All right.
But it's hard to tell because of the way the sign language is going in the hand's direction. I can imagine Oliver can't lean that far around. So I know it's definitely the judge that's looking into this. So
right. So the Shaddoll Falco is that Why is a hedgehog there?
Sinister Shadow Games would send the Shaddoll from deck to the graveyard.
Oh, I think I got it.
You figured it out.
Yeah. The question is the Squamata already in the graveyard when the Sinister Shadow Games is when the Falco resolves? No. Wait a second. I thought I had it. I think I now. No, I got nothing.
Okay, yeah, because we know that the Mathematician attack will destroy the Falcon. Okay,
All right.
Yeah, okay, I don't quite know what happened there. Okay, I'm not sure. Maybe he communicated something different from what we anticipated, and the Majesty's Fiend preventing the activations of those effects.
At the end of the day, does it matter? Because he's got a White Dragon Viper Buster with 1,700 attack. He's got the Monarch Stormforth. Well, there we go. That's the damage. That's all it takes in that very special situation. And Sascha Fabian claims the win. Oliver Lukenda with his 60 cards. Gotta say, in that situation, not very favorable for him.
No, I mean, going into that situation, he has a lot of really, really powerful if I get to the late game cards. And he wasn't going to get to the late game. 4 turns is not the late game for him. I mean, because at the beginning of the end, he didn't draw that, fortunately, but that got really confusing at the end. But it all worked out the way we ultimately thought it would.
Yep. But in the end, I got to say, Sascha Fabian definitely deserving that victory, in my opinion. The first game was just sick. Him on 1,000 life points. We thought he was he was defeated, and he thought he was all but defeated. Figuring out a line of play, just going one move after the other, finding the Blackluster Soldier on top of his deck, and suddenly 8,000 life points gone in an instant, and he just advances to
Blackluster Soldier, Dark Arm Dragon, thanks to the Eclipse Wyvern. You know, it's just such a ridiculous sequence of plays.
Yes. And, well, also kudos to Oliver Lukenda for piling 60 cards all the way to the quarterfinals. But that's where he has met his master in Sascha Fabian. That means another Shaddoll deck advances to the semi-finals.
I believe that was the last of the Burning Abyss cards left in the tournament.
Yes, I think so indeed. However, there's still hope in case you're hoping for a different archetype to win. We got the Tellarknights.
Yeah, I don't know if they've made it through to the top 4.
Yes. We do have the...
Fingers crossed.
We do have the top 8 pairings for you. We showed them in between the round. However, all of the other results are already in, so those results are kind of outdated. We will soon have the top 4 matchups in the written coverage, which you can also check out over at the official site. We'll be back soon because this match took a little bit long and all the other matches have already concluded. So just watch some videos in our short break and then we'll be right back with the semi-finals.